David, just before you start, let me give the honor to introduce you here. And I most certainly am blessed to be associated with you. But David handles our regulatory affairs at Opulence Global. From his science and pharmaceutical background, David recognizes the incredible value of the Perry Flawless as the world-class product that delivers and promises anti-aging. His enthusiasm continues with the Fountain of Life, his most powerful antioxidant from nature, in the future development in the Safe Home Revolution collection. David is honored to be part of this incredible journey as Opulence Global changes the lives of people. And I'm blessed to be associated with David. And thank you, David. Take it away.
Well, thank you for the introduction. I hope everyone's well tonight. If you have questions, as we go along, let's go through the Q&As, and so we can find that. Don't put it in the chat group because it's hard to find. But in the Q&As, we'll try and address your questions as we move forward. I think I'm going to start out with, and I talked to Sanaz about this, but I want to start out with Fountain of Life. And the reason I want to do so is that for some people it might be redundant, and I apologize for that. However, having said that, there's a lot of new people, and I want everyone to sort of understand a few things about the product moving forward, and maybe this will help you. First of all, I think that you have to set up expectations when you are when you're introducing it to someone. And first and foremost, you have to explain what the taste is all about. For the majority of people that have tried it, they find it very palatable. But for some people, they don't understand. If they don't understand what this product is about, they're gonna come back and tell you it has some bitter notes to it, and it does have some bitter notes to the product. Some people say it tastes like wood, and the reason it does taste like wood because it comes from the Norwegian spruce tree, and that's why it does have that sort of unusual flavor. But you do acclimate to it. People that do take it for do use it for a while will always report that it tastes sweeter. It's not that we made it sweeter, it's just that your body has adjusted to it. So just remember that moving forward. Now, what is Fountain of Life? Fountain of Life is the most powerful source of lignans from nature. And lignans are plant antioxidants found in the cell walls of plants. In particular, the Norwegian spruce is where we get this extract from, and it's from the stem and heartwood of the tree itself. And so for everyone to sort of imagine what I'm talking about is the branches grow into the tree, and it grows, the heartwood grows right into the trunk of the tree, and it's a darker area of the stem itself. And why is that important? It's important because the pulp and paper industry, they remove that. They remove that section and they actually discard it. And so what we've done is we've repurposed this. Oh, hold it. I'm being, one sec, I apologize. I'm going to do this again. Sorry, folks, I'm just rejoining this. Oh, I'm on video now. Apologize. There, good to see my smiling face, I guess. When it comes down to what we're talking about is, I just lost my train of thought. The pulp and paper industry, they don't use the stem heartwood, and so we're not removing or taking down trees. What we're doing is repurposing trees, the branches of the trees. And to give you an idea how many branches, it takes 50, I should say 10 to 50 tons of branches to make 1 ton of Fountain of Life. And so it goes through a process of extraction that takes months to do. It's not that easy to do, but it's something that these branches are collected and dried and harvested properly from the discard pile. And as a result, we are able to create this incredible product. Now, people are going to ask, they always ask when they start, is this sustainable? Are we going to run out of the extract itself? And the answer is no. The reason being that 70% of the forests in Finland, where this is from, are owned by families, and they've put together a sustainability program decades ago. So they've thought about this issue way before Fountain of Life was even thought of or discovered. And this is because pulp and paper is a big part of their industry. And as a result of that, there's going to be always a strong supply of branches to make this extract for this Pisceabees extract that's from the Fountain of Life. And so this is shown to be a very powerful product. And the reason it's powerful is that we really don't have a good supply of lignans in our diet. On average, a person will eat 1 milligrams of lignans per day. What we're supposed to be taking in is 50 to 100 times that amount. And so we're devoid of that. And the reason we're devoid of that is that it used to be very abundant in a lot of our foodstuffs, like wheat. 7% of the world's population eats wheat. But what's happened is that we processed it. We've also changed the varieties of wheat. We used to eat, spelt, einkorn, and Emmer's, which has a very good supply of lignans. However, we are all eating this variety called dwarf wheat now. It feeds a lot more people, but it is devoid of a lot of nutrients, including lignans. So that's why they fortify. If you see a lot of flour, all-purpose flour, whatever, you'll see that it's fortified. They don't fortify with lignans, unfortunately. And that's why they're seeing a difference in the diets of many people. And they think that this is affecting society today. They think a lot of modern diseases are the results of our diets. They think that, and they've shown that societies that have had a higher lignan diet have 30% less incidence of cancer and cardiovascular disease. And because of this, they feel that lignans are something that we have to look out for and we should replace. Now, it's not easy to replace. If you take a look at the charts that we create, it'd be just an inordinate amount of apples or any other fruit or vegetables or even nuts to make up the amount of lignans that we do need in our diets. So it's not easy. The easiest way to actually get our full lignan count is a product like Fountain of Life. And it's very easy to take. It's very powerful that way, and it gives us the lignan balance that we need. Now, if you read the Facebook page, you're all going to see that it does impact many people in many different ways. And that's the funny part about this whole thing. It really does impact people from you'll see that from diabetes, cardiovascular disease, lupus, all these things people will talk about. And the reason that this happens is that it's not because it's a miracle drug. So please, I want people to be aware of that. This is not a drug, and certainly not a miracle drug. But a lot of the issues that we see in terms of health is a result of oxidative stress, chronic inflammation. These are the things that cause us to be ill over the long run. And the gateway to all, or not all, but many disease states is oxidative stress. And so lignans in our diet will help people. And the reason it helps people is that lignans, plant lignans, convert to mammalian lignans very quickly in our diets, especially when it's from the Norwegian spruce, because it has this lignin called 7-hydroxymethyresinol. And when it's converted in our gastrointestinal system, or if we take it sublingually, just under the tongue, it's absorbed rapidly into our bloodstreams, and then it goes through a conversion. And I'm not going to explain how that goes, but it's a very complicated process, but it does go. It converts to, and if you walk away tonight with anything, remember the word enterolactone, enterolactone. That's called enterolactone. And enterolactone is a mammalian lignin that is so vital to our health. Enterolactone will reduce oxidative stress in our body. Enterolactone is anti-cancer, anti-metastatic, will reduce LDLs, increase our HDL levels. It does so many different things to our body. And because we're devoid of it, people are seeing marked changes in their health as they take Fountain of Life, because it's a great source of enterolactone. And so if we understand that one thing, that this is what Fountain of Life does, you're going to see changes. It will help so many people. And I think we just can't forget that part. I hope that makes sense to everybody. I just want to stop for a second. Are there any questions about that, or are we okay so far? I'm going to say that I don't see any questions. That's fine. So anyways, so moving forward on this, a lot of people have questions like, and they'll send me a disease state, and they'll say, can I help this person with this disease? Or they're taking this medication. They have to understand that disease states can be very complicated to address. Fountain of Life is not a panacea for everything. And sometimes it's difficult to address it, and it takes a lot more research than just me, thinking about this and trying to figure out what the heck this is all about. If it's a rare disease, I have to go through a number of medical books just to see what the heck this is and how it affects people. And what do antioxidants do? Can we use antioxidants? Is it safe to use antioxidants? And even once I give you an answer and say the answer is yes, it will help. You just cannot go and prescribe or suggest using Fountain of Life, because they have to talk to their doctor. So the important thing for you to take away tonight is that a conversation with a doctor is always recommended. A conversation with a doctor, especially people who are on medications, should always be discussed with their doctor. The doctor wants to know any changes in supplements, any changes in the diet. And certainly adding Fountain of Life is a change. But that'll help the doctors really understand what they're taking. What are they adding to their diet, why they're adding to it. If you say, I'm giving, they're taking a powerful source of lignans. Okay. Now, the doctor is going to come back with, never heard of Fountain of Life. I have no idea what you're talking about. And some doctors will know, but there's going to be a lot of doctors say, I've never heard of Fountain of Life. And the best way to answer that is, it converts to enterolactone like flaxseed, except it is more efficient and more powerful. And if you remember flaxseed's always been a gold standard out there for lignans. However, Fountain of Life far surpasses that. So if you ask the doctor or suggest to the patient, talk to the doctor, that Fountain of Life is a powerful source of lignans, much more powerful than flaxseed, is it okay for them to take this or add this to their diet? Will it impact medications? Is there any reason that they are contraindicated to it? And the reason that you want to get them to ask that question is because sometimes they don't disclose to you exactly what is happening. They might not disclose to you what therapies they are on. That's fine. Sometimes it's none of our business, because sometimes it's a very personal thing. But I want everyone to be aware that conversation should happen. The one thing that we really shouldn't recommend Fountain of Life for is for those who are undergoing cancer therapy, chemo or radiation therapy, and that goes with any antioxidant, because antioxidants will protect the cells, and this will protect the cancer cells that they're trying to eradicate. So we don't want to do that. So never recommend anyone undergoing cancer therapy to do so. Now, when they say, well, I'll be finishing my cancer therapy, can I use Fountain of Life? The answer is, discuss this with your doctor. When are they able to start taking antioxidants again? Because you do not want to rush into this and find out, oh man, if we had just left it for another week, their chemo or their radiation would have been that much more effective. You want to make sure that they're in that safe zone to participate in the use of any antioxidant, and I think that's the safest thing you can do. I hope that helps you. Now, fountain of life is a lignin. It is a plant. Is derived from plants, I should say. And so, with any product out there, a person could be allergic to it or sensitive to it. So always remember that, and you should have that discussion with them. If they're not sure, take it, your inner arm here, and make sure it's dry, make sure it's clean, and put a few drops of fountain of life there. And when you do so, just wait about 15 minutes and make sure there's no redness, itchiness, hives, rashes form on that part. And if it does form, then they are sensitive to the product and they shouldn't be taking it. Okay. Very, very important to understand that. Now, the one thing that, in terms of the history of fountain of life and what has happened over the years at Opulence, we started, well, I'm going to take you back a little further. When I first met the doctor, Dr. A, it was about 14 years ago. I met him for lunch, really nice lunch, and actually in Don Mills area, and the shops at Don Mills. I don't know if anyone lives in Toronto, but there's some nice restaurants there. And I met him there, and through an associate, and we had a great lunch and long discussion. And he was promoting the extract, the fountain of life extract, to different companies for different applications, especially topical use. And we started looking at that. We started looking at the science behind it and everything. And we had this frank discussion about what he had. And at that point, they're using it topically. They're adding it to sunscreens. They're adding this to skincare. And why were they doing this? Because it mops up free radicals. Sunscreens block off UVA, UVB, but there's nothing but free radical activity on the screen. So they started adding that to the sunscreens. And that was one of the first steps. And then we decided, the formulator who created Fairy Flawless decided to add that to to a couple of the products. And why did they do it? Because he wanted to reduce aging, the appearance of aging. And because if you reduce free radical activity, it's a marvelous agent to mop up free radicals, to neutralize free radicals and cause the aging process in the skin. And so we're talking about this at length, and it's very nice. We were talking about his topical applications and how it works. And then when we're looking at, the papers, I discussed about internal use. And the reason I discuss this because it looked very safe. He's using an excipient that was generally regarded as safe by the US FDA. In fact, it's classed as a food source, and it's used in flavoring in many different foods. And so I asked him. He said, "Can we use this as a nutritional supplement?" And he said, "Yes." And in fact, at that point, he disclosed to me that he had given the extract in fountain of life to an associate who was dying from spleen cancer. Something I never heard of. It doesn't mean that, I'm an expert on all cancers, but I worked in oncology, but I never experienced that or heard about that or talked to an oncologist about spleen cancer. And he said, no, it's not as common as some of the others, but his associate was given 2 weeks to live. So basically, you've got the bad news, go home and get your papers in order, because in 2 weeks, you are not going to be here. And so, of course, the gentleman was very upset. He wasn't sure what to do. He saw the extract at the lab and asked if he could just try it because he had nothing else going on. So he decided, he took it home, he started using it. And to this day, the man is still alive. And so I asked about that. At that point, 14 years ago, the man was still alive too. But I asked him, then, is this considered a cure? And the answer is no. The answer is not a cure. but he says the researchers are starting to look at this, and they've reiterated this over the years, that perhaps cancer is something you can live with and you have to control. And they think that this might be one of those cases. Now, that's just an anecdote. Honestly, it's an anecdote. Doesn't mean that it's a cure, treatment, or anything for cancer, but it showed you that there was something behind it and there's some power behind this product. And there are other stories about that, prostate cancer, also skin cancer, where it's helped people. But again, it's not a cure, it's not a panacea, it's certainly nothing that we can promote as something for cancer, but we can promote it as an antioxidant. And if a person has cancer and they're not undergoing chemo radiation therapy, you would encourage them to try and ask them to try this, add this to their diet, because it might help them. You just want to explain to them. There have been lots of anecdotes of people taking this, adding it to the diet, and it has helped them live with this horrible disease. It doesn't mean that it's cured it. It doesn't mean it is solved anything. It doesn't mean at any point, once they feel better, that they should stop. And one thing that was unfortunate, I do know of a gentleman who had prostate cancer, and he decided he was using the extract found of the life. And as soon as he got a clear bill of health, he stopped using it. And the cancer came back stronger than ever. So I wanted people to be aware of what the thought processes are out there right now. But we aren't selling a panacea. We aren't selling something that is going to cure something. So we can't make these promises because it's unfair and unethical to do so. But you can say that lignans in diet have shown promise. Lignans in the diet have shown to help people in terms of their quality of life, and that is true. Lignans are very, very important, in men's overall general health. As we grow older, what happens to men? Well, all sorts happens to men, apart from getting older and slower. One thing to realize is that as we grow older, our testosterone is converted to this real potent form called dihydrotestosterone. You might hear it as DHT, from this enzyme that we secrete called 5-alpha reductase. This does occur in women too, but women don't have as much testosterone as men, obviously, but they still can develop DHT. So what happens when that occurs? Well, first of all, for both men and women, you start losing your hair. It causes shrinkage of the hair follicles and causes their hair to fall out. And it's a very disconcerting thing for both sexes. And so it is something that can be reversed by taking lignans in the diet. And lignans will attenuate the formation of 5-alpha reductase. There are drugs that you can take, like finasteride, but you don't have to do that. You can just add lignans to the diet. That's why some men have reported hair growth again. Some have shown the hair growth again because their follicles are still alive and they're able to take fountain of life, which blocks the formation of 5-alpha reductase, which in turn blocks DHTs, which in turn allows the hair follicles to flourish. And yes, you just add this to your diet on a daily basis. And this happens for both men and women. But men also suffer from benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH. What happens is dihydrotestosterone causes benign growth. This is not cancerous growth, but benign growth of the prostate. And what happens in this, and I worked in this area for 8 years of my life, that the prostatic urethra, which is the size of a walnut, starts to grow larger and larger and larger. And it squeezes the urethra around the prostate, squeezes that urethra to the point that a man cannot void properly or safely void or whatever. It becomes a very big social problem for them, among other things. because they can never void, they can never empty their bladder, and it's very, very difficult for them. So if you know of any men, in their 50s, 40, late 40s, 50s, 60s, that are always running to the washroom because they can't void properly, Fount of Life is a perfect adjunct to their diets because it is a source of lignans, and lignans they do block the enzyme that causes DHTs, that causes hair loss, but also benign prostate growth. And it will reverse that. So it will cause shrinkage of that prostate. So it will relax everything and allow them to void properly. And I've heard from many men who do not mention this to anyone. It's a tough thing for men to talk about. Men don't like to talk about their health anyways, but it's even tougher when they talk about something as sensitive as voiding or ED or whatever. So I would consider that to any man. Now, I just use the word ED. ED is another area. And why is that important? Because any bit of plaque in our system, if there's any plaque in our arteries, it leads to dysfunction, sexual dysfunction in men. And so, I've had a lot of men also comment on the fact that all of a sudden they're sort of reawakened, their sexuality's been reawakened, something that surprised them is because the plaque has been eliminated from their system. Okay, the plaque causes dysfunction. And so what it's doing is enterolactone is actually reversing the impact of LDLs, which causes plaque formation, increases HDLs. And this is all proven. This is not just us making these statements. In 2018, a group of scientists published in the British Journal of Nutrition, and you'll have it in the back office, some information on this. But Biasiato, which did a really great study, showed that LDLs were also lower density lipoproteins. HDLs were increased, high density lipoproteins, which is the good lipoproteins in our bloodstream. So it reverses that impact, and it helps our cardiovascular health, reduces plaque formation, and that's why sexual health is improved. The other thing too to recognize is that things like people with diabetes type 2 can be impacted in a positive way, because diabetes type 2 is something that's inherent due to our diets of all things. And so, it's a bit tough in certain areas of the world, but we can still impact our diets and our levels of blood sugars by adding in lignans. And that was shown in that study, which I thought was quite amazing, that it lowered the production of insulin from our pancreas. It lowered the oxidative stress that's causing insulin resistance in our body. So it's allowing, it actually allows our cells to utilize the blood sugars, and the blood sugar levels dropped as a result. So that was shown in the study. The other thing it showed is that fatty liver deposits were also lowered, and as well as visceral fat metabolism was improved. Now, the overall thing from all that was that the subjects did lose weight, but this is not a weight loss product. And I really am careful about that, because, weight loss is a whole different category, but the subjects themselves lost weight as a result of using this. And it took them between 30 and 60 days to start seeing some market changes. But again, it shows that the power of this product, but again, it's not a weight loss product. That was a byproduct of taking this on a regular basis, and they were taking 30 drops a day. It wasn't them just taking it, 10 drops here, 5 drops there. It was 30 drops a day over a period of 60 days, which they saw market changes in their blood sugars, everything, HDLs, LDLs, all these things that occurred. And it was a very positive study. And if you don't have it, please ask head office for a copy of that, because it was placed in your back office for you to use. It's a very, very good study, and it will give you an idea. Now, there are other studies on lignans, of course, but this one actually does target a number of issues and will help you better explain the power of the product. And I would use that because it is a very good study, shows you, how well it does work. The other thing people are going to ask you is this product safe? And the answer, is yes. There was no toxicity level that could be found. And that's one of the things that sort of surprised me. I've read through a number of studies and submissions to the government, and there was no toxicity levels that could be found with the Fountain of Life extract. And so we had to put some numbers down at one point. They're looking for it. And so they came down to the conclusion that like 50 bottles at a sitting, or was it 35? I'm thinking, sorry, 30, I think it was 35 bottles in one sitting would make you ill. And I think, that would be a fair number. The thing is, are you going to be able to take in 35 bottles, in one sitting? The answer is probably not. I don't think realistically, I don't think that's a realistic number at all for the average person. And I would never recommend you challenge yourself and try and drink 35 bottles. I think it'd give you an upset stomach, to be honest with you, because I think it'd be very hard to do. But again, I just want you to know, like, the reason I'm saying this is that it's a very, very safe, very benign product that way, but powerful, powerful source of lignans. And, it's much more powerful than flaxseed. And that might come up in conversation, or the reason being that flaxseed, which has always been the gold standard, it has a lignin called secoisolarissa diglucoside. That's the whole thing. And when it's ingested into our system, through our bowels, it has to be cleaved. When they say cleaved, part of it has to be removed. The diglucoside has to be removed so that it can be converted into enterolactone. Now, the conversion itself is very difficult. It won't happen if it's not cleaved, and so you do lose some flaxseed. It's just simply excreted. But if it is converted, it's converted to enterodiol, sometimes enterolactone. And enterodiol, in turn, has to be converted to enterolactone. So there's a step in there that has to be done before it becomes as powerful a lignin as the lignin in Fountain of Life. And that's why our product is much more powerful, much more efficient, because it converts rapidly and quickly. And we utilize everything when we take it in through our digestive system. And that's where it occurs. You might have a doctor say, well, how is it converted to enterolactone at all points? Even if you take it sublingually, it is converted because it goes through our system and it ends up in our small intestine, where the actual bacteria converts it to enterolactone. Okay, there's a bacterial process there. It just goes through a number of different steps when we take it sublingually. And I don't want to go through that because it's going to get you really confused as to how that happens. But I just want you to know that it is converted to enterolactone through our bacteria system in our small intestine. And then it's absorbed as enterolactone. And that enterolactone is the key to the success that we're seeing and the changes we're seeing in people's lives. That one word, enterolactone. So if you forget everything else, if you remember that, you know that why it is so powerful. Now, I referred to, are there any questions? So I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but if there's any questions, we just keep going. Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, we'll just keep moving forward. I don't see any questions, are there? No. Okay. I apologize if someone does have questions. I just want to try and give you as much information as possible about this. Now the thing is that I did talk about topical use. topical use of the product. And some people say, I put this all over, my skin and all that, and they've had success, which is, it's fine. It will work for some people that become irritated with it. And the reason being that, one thing that maybe they don't realize, or we don't realize, is how powerful this product really is. And its optimal levels is 5% when using it topically. That means if you have your favorite skin cream there and you wanted to add in fountain of life extract, the way to do that is measure out 5% of that, and you are getting the optimal value at that point. That's when you're getting the optimal level. If you poured half the bottle in there, everything, you're wasting product. You don't have to spend all that product on there. So 5%. So if out of 100 ml bottle of skin cream, 5 mils is all you require, and you'll get optimal levels of lignans to help, what they say, mop up free radicals on the skin. Mopping up free radicals just means that you are neutralizing free radicals. And if that happens, your skin was going to look better. Now, I proved that years ago, and this is like sort of a dumb thing to do in a way, but an associate and I, we created a skin cream using the fountain of life extract and microsilver, and we mixed the two together and we created a cream. It was with a moisturizing cream, and we handed out samples to people like my sister, and she was just amazed at how good it was. And her friends came over and they're all amazed about this whole thing because they all started looking younger. And then I had to break the bad news to her that was just an experiment. I'm not making it. And my sister is a very smart woman, but she got very little patience for me at times, and she got sort of mad. Her friends were mad, the whole thing. But, I came back years later with a product called Sterling. And I said, Sterling's got everything in there that you want, because Sterling will work. And Sterling is a wonderful product, and it does have the optimal levels that you want. And yes, you can use it on your face, you can use it on your neck, the areas that we ignore, you can put it on your hands. We always forget. We talk about anti-aging of the face, but we also forget about the neck, and we forget about the hands. And it's one of those things in the beauty industry, we always look at a person's hand, man or woman, and their face could look 40, but their hands might look 60. And so, that's not trying to be catty or mean. It's just one of those things you start looking at to determine how we can help these people look younger. And one of the things that we can do is put Sterling all over our hands, all over, face and necks, and they will look that much better. Okay. And the one thing you have to consider is with any of these products, like Sterling, is that there is some power and some synergy between microsilver and microsilver and the fountain of life extract. Okay, I want people to realize that there's some value with the synergy between that. And I did really like that. And that's one of the things that drew me to the fountain, Fairy Flawless at the very beginning. Because when I met Sanaz and I met Ramin, I was really impressed with the fact that they had that combination in their Fairy Flawless line. And I knew the formulator, and I knew he might do something like that. I was really happy, and I said, I'm really glad to see that, because it's going to make a difference. And I said, you should be really happy that he's added that, because it will help people look younger. That's our achievement. That's what we're trying to get. The one thing is that the synergy between the two makes a big difference. Now, Sterling, let's not forget, has a Piceabees extract, mopping up free radicals, microsilver that's going to reduce the bacterial load. And please, anyone who's diabetic, whatever, when we talk about diabetes, fountain of life should be taken internally, but Sterling should be always added to their peripheral area, because people have poor blood circulation. They have issues there. Bacterial load is very high, especially in their peripheral areas, their feet, their legs, everything. Sterling is a great product to add to that. As such, these products are unique, and I think that there are some uses to them if you understand where to place them. But for the average person, it's just great to place it on your hands to make it look younger. You know, put it on your neck to make yourself look younger, or even your face to make yourself look younger. Well, let's go back to Fountain of Life and how it really works. Oh, and what are free radicals? We always talk about free radicals. Free radicals are molecules missing an electron. Okay, so big deal, right? Well, they bombard our system constantly. Where do we get free radicals? Pollution, pesticides, sunlight can be a factor. We're looking at smoking, alcohol abuse, even stress causes that. Yes, we do need free radicals in the system for certain functions. Of course, that we can't eliminate everything. We need it for digestion. So there's a lot of good things free radicals do, but there's a lot of bad things that can happen over time. Free radicals that bombard our body and steal the electron from a healthy cell can cause damage over time. That's the simplest thing that I can say, is that it causes damage. And if that occurs enough times, and as we get older, when you get to my age, we're not as efficient as we once were when we were younger. When you're a kid, you got all these wonderful defenses, and what it's doing is we have glutathione and superoxide dismutase that is going to neutralize free radical activity and keeps us safe from free radicals. And so so it doesn't seem to impact us at a younger age. But as we grow older, we're not as efficient in that manner. Okay, we're not efficient in terms of making these, these antioxidants internally. And so we have to supplement that with things like lignans. And why a lignan? There's many antioxidants out there. Well, one thing lignans have a unique property is because if you ever loan an electron, if you got a cell and you loan that electron, that in turn becomes a free radical. And then it's a cascading effect because it just goes from one to another. However, lignans have a unique property of loaning that electron without itself becoming a free radical. So it's sort of, the buck stops there. And that's why it's very safe and very effective. So if we remember that this what makes lignan so valuable, that it will reduce free radical activity in our body, it will help. Okay, it will help tremendously. When we use it topically, it mops up free radicals on our skin. There aren't too many products out there that mop up free radicals. It's a question of free radicals landing on our skin. Our scalps are havens for bacteria, havens for free radical activity. When we stand there, we're collecting this all day as we're walking along. Pollution, everything is hitting our scalps, and that causes so many issues over time. And so when we take a look at products that are going to reduce free radical activity, that you should consider that as part of your routine to get rid of to neutralize free radicals. And I hope that really, if people understand this conversation, I hope you're following, and I apologize for going so fast, but if you understand that we can do something about free radical activities, it will lower the chances of these things happening to us. From us just looking bad, looking older, to more serious things, serious health issues. It's one thing in terms of aesthetics, but it's another thing in terms of health, and our health is the most important aspect. And I think that we have to take a look at the value this brings, to our overall health. And I really think that Fountain of Life, and I really do like the product because it makes a difference. When people ask me how much do you take, I take 30 drops a day. And if you ask me why, I started out with, like, a lot of times, and I'm going to explain this to you, that when we did the application to Health Canada, we're dealing with the fact of 5 drops per day to 10 drops per day. And we have that sort of listed on our label. And we felt that was what would work best. At that point, that's what we had to work with. However, studies have shown that 30 drops a day is more beneficial. And when I was using it, I've got osteoarthritis. I broke my leg when I was really young. I did a lot of damage. I don't want to tell you how many bones I've broken, but I got a lot of discomfort and pain that I learned to live with. But I decided to try Fountain of Life 14 years ago, like the extract, and I asked the doctor for some, and he suggested taking 5 to 10 drops. He said, 5 drops if you're about 50 kilos, which I'm not. And so he said maybe 10 drops. So I started 10 drops and I found it did work. It helped with some of the discomfort. Wasn't perfect, but I kept doing that over the years and it seemed to work. It's just that there were moments in time where I thought, oh man, I just felt like a tin man. I moved so slow because my leg would start to hurt. So when the study came out, it's just 30 drops a day, which I hadn't really thought about deeply. I increased it to 30 drops and I saw a marked change. And so anecdotally, speaking that my osteoarthritis virtually disappeared overnight. And that was born by the fact that even in the x-rays, the doctors could not find anything significantly wrong with my knee. They knew that my knee was bad, but they couldn't see me. They couldn't rationalize any more operations. They took me off the list of people for a knee replacement. They're waiting for me to hit a certain age. They said that they'll do a knee replacement because they can only do it once effectively. Oh, I gotta do one thing here. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. Again, I apologize, just an anecdote, but it's not scientific. But I'll show you that it did work for myself, and then I got taken off. I was taken off the knee replacement. Okay, so I just wanted to pass that on to you. I was just going to go over some questions. Can Fountain Life heal fibroids? Well, it doesn't heal it, but there's a lot of oxidative stress with fibroids, and fibroids are help with antioxidants. The answer is I would add that to your diet to see if it will help. Okay, there's no guarantees, but I think it would help. Okay. Supplementing glutathione. Well, you can't really supplement glutathione. Glutathione is natural. There's companies that came out several years ago stating they had glutathione supplements. It didn't work. And why didn't it work? Because our body just sort of chews it all up. So they had to take a different approach. But what you will do with Fountain of Life is just you will augment our system, with a powerful antioxidant with Fountain of Life. And that will help, because our glutathione levels are lower. So you can't say that we're supplementing glutathione, but what you're doing is improving our levels in pterolactone in the body. That's an easier answer. I hope that helps. My next question is, my gums keep on bleeding even when I use their toothpaste and FOL. The gums look swollen. Is anywhere I can use the 2 to stop this bleeding and swelling? Well, it sounds like you might have some periodontal disease. I don't know exactly what. I don't know what the dentist has to say, because quite honestly, like our toothpaste and Fountain Life together do seem to help. Are you taking Fountain Life internally? If you're saying your gums look swollen, there could be a number of factors to that, and you should ask why this is happening. Not being a dentist or a doctor, I think you have, you really have to have a deeper dive into that. And I'm really sorry to hear that, because I know it can be very uncomfortable, but find out what's really causing that. You might have a bacterial infection there that's causing that, but you really should talk to a dentist about that, because bleeding gums is not comfortable at all. And it's not comfortable to look at all. But for most people, when we're using our toothpaste and Fountain of Life together, they've had great success. And I hope that your dentist can guide you better through this. Okay. But you do have a couple products that will help. Obviously, it's not curing it, and I apologize, but you'll have to find out exactly the cause of that. And I'm sure it is a bacterial problem, but you should really ask your dentist to give you an assessment on that. Okay. Anyways, is there anything else that we want to cover on this? I think I covered Fountain of Life pretty good. You know, for those people who are, oh, how are you going to take it? You know, how do you take Fountain of Life? And this is one thing maybe I don't cover enough, but there are many ways to take Fountain of Life. But when you say 30 drops a day, okay, the most ideal way of taking is 10 drops in the morning, 10 drops in the afternoon, and 10 drops in the evening. That's the most ideal way of taking it. However, for people like myself, it's not very ideal. I don't carry around the bottle because I can be a little absent-minded and leave it all over the place. So the suggestion is to take 10, 10, and 10 to keep the enterolactone levels, you know, consistent throughout, so we don't have the spikes. However, having said that, you can take 30 drops at the same time every day, because when I say the same time every day, it depends on your schedule. But if you do it the same time, you know, as the half-life, as it drops off, you'll maintain that. But the 30 drops is really important. How do you take it? You can take it in water. You could take it in juice. You know, people, you know, reported taking in beer because beer has bitter notes. As a company, we want to be responsible when we say that. We're not suggesting that, you know, put 30 drops in your beer and then go driving, you know, or going to work with alcohol in your breath. However, if you're relaxing at home, you know, you have a beer, just you can put 30 drops in there. I know one person that puts it into their porridge in the morning, hot porridge, because it's not affected by heat or cold. So it's very stable that way. So there's a number of ways you can take it, or you can put it under your tongue and it can be absorbed sublingually. And that too will circulate through our system and it will be converted to enterolactone. Okay. So you have different ways of doing it. Just make sure that you're not taking 30 drops and just sort of taking a couple drops now and a couple drops at 10 o'clock and a couple drops, you know, at 2 o'clock, and then, you know, 15 drops around 3 o'clock. You know, 30 drops is needed, and that's the best way of doing it. Now, if you meet someone who says, well, I prefer to take 3 drops a day, they're not going to get any benefit from it. They might as well not even use the product. They have to use the product for it to be beneficial. So they will see a market change. And the one thing that we always have to remind ourselves that many of us, we live with discomfort and pain or whatever, and we're used to it, and we don't have to be used to it. We can, you know, and people who have committed to using Fountain of Life, the majority have reported a change, and they think that there's been a market change and it's helped them. And I've seen some, you know, miraculous recoveries and miraculous changes in people's lives is because they are missing lignans in their diet. And that one word, enterolactone, means so much to people that haven't had that for a long time. Okay. Anyways, I hope that helps. We're at 9:04 now. So I hope it helps you. If there's any questions, drop me a line. I'll try and answer it at any time. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, David. Much appreciated. And you are appreciated. You're worth your weight in gold. There was a great information, and this is a call that everyone should absolutely keep and send to people. It was just a wonderful, wonderful call. Thank you, David, and thank you, everyone out there in Opulence land, for your patience in the beginning of this call. I appreciate everybody, and just want to, we'll end it in a moment. I just have some information to go over, and just let me pull up my screen here. And just starting with the product Crossfire here, our speaker was David. Thank you very much, David. And our announcements coming up. And just some updates up on the social. There's a new added language for selected posts in French language, Thai, simplified Chinese, and Somali, and more to come. Just a reminder, Instagram flash sale drops on Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern all summer. And remember the cruise. That's when if you hit LD2, then you're on that cruise. It's February 12th to the 16th, and everyone is qualified by, or it's from October to December to qualify. Must be LD2 by December 11th, 2023. And this is a big one, Freedom Conference. I have my ticket. As a matter of fact, 7 people in my group are going to the conference, and I think everyone should go there. Leaders are made at conferences, and it's amazing how one increases their levels after a conference. It's just incredible. So coming up, it's ticket prices are $199. Going up September the 1st to $249. I believe there are some tickets around for the prices at the beginning. And tomorrow night, Forensic Network, and with Ramin Mascarlo. Looking forward to that call, and hopefully I'll do better as hosting Ramin. And it's just a great call. It teaches us all about this multi-level marketing industry, and to become a professional in the industry. As you become a professional, you'll also be very rich. So it'll be an excellent call tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. And that's it. Thank you. And once again, thank you for everyone's patience. Really appreciate that. I look forward to more calls, and looking forward to being a host tomorrow night. You take care. And good night, good morning, good afternoon to everyone that's on the call.
Thanks, Larry. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night, everyone.